Welcome back, everybody. Okay, long weekend is around the corner, and if you're looking for some vino to sip on, our next guest has you covered with some amazing recommendations. So, here to highlight some family owned vineyards from right across the country is our fave. Oh, Natalie MacLean is back. Of course, she runs Canada's most popular online wine classes.
It's so great to be back with you, ladies.
Well, Natalie, we always love getting your wine recommendations. But before we dive into this specific vineyards that you're highlighting today, would you tell us a little bit about wine production in Canada, just sort of generally?
So there are four major regions across the country that produce wine from grapes. So BC and Ontario account for about 96% of wine produced. Then Nova Scotia and Quebec account for the remaining 4%. There are actually 700 wineries across the country and 1,800 grape growers.
You have brought us wines from family-run businesses, which I love. But how do they differ from sort of, I guess, a big company?
Sure. So it's literally pride of place grounds them all. So in many cases, the land on which their vines are planted are owned by these families, and often, in several cases, for several generations. And I should note, too, that they acknowledge that they farm on the traditional territories of our Indigenous nations. And so that soil, that connection to the soil that makes your wine, especially when your name is on the label, is a really different mindset from a wine that's conceived in a corporate marketing focus group that has no connection to the place.
We are going to start on the East Coast, and we're going to start at a winery out in Nova Scotia.
Sure thing. So Lightfoot and Wolfville is owned by the Lightfoot family, who have been in the Annapolis Valley farming for 8 generations.
Oh,
isn't that adorable?
Oh.
Yeah, I know. It really, these animals, though, underscore the fact that wineries are farms. Call it fancied up farming, but they are farms. And so with Lightfoot and Wolfville, they are nestled in the heart of Annapolis Valley in Nova Scotia. It's a narrow strip of land between 2 mountain ranges right on the coast of the Bay of Fundy, which has the world's highest tides.
Wow.
And so this creates the ideal environment for making cool climate wine.
Because it's bubbly. Like, why don't we pop some bottles or something?
All right.
This one is a Blanc de Blanc Extra Brut Sparkling. It's made using the champagne method and from 100% Chardonnay grapes.
I taste a lot of granny apples.
Get out of town with this.
Oh, this is nice.
Okay, so next we're heading to Quebec, actually, to the Coteau Rougemont. So what's the story there?
Well, the Robert family has been rooted in Rougemont, which is in Quebec's eastern townships, for decades. And in 2007, Claude Robert bought this orchard.
Oh,
Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it?
oh,
He bought the
gorgeous.
orchard, and this was a dream that he was fulfilling of his father, Rosario, who used to drive his apple truck up to the top of the hill and look out over this orchard and dream of owning it one day. So I've brought you the Coteau Rougemont Chardonnay, and the vines are planted on the family's south-facing slopes, so it ripens these grapes into luscious richness. So you're going to get some buttery notes, some toasted almond, some golden apple.
Oh, wow.
Oh, goodness me. That is lovely.
Beautiful.
So glad you like
It
it.
almost
Yeah, it's beautiful.
feels like if you had to open up a tasting textbook and be like, oh, what's Chardonnay? This is it.
Let's move into Ontario and a name that anybody in the region probably knows very well, the Peller family.
So I love this rags to riches story. So in 1927, Andrew Peller, who was just 24 years old, came to Canada from his native Hungary with just $5 in his pocket and a dream in his mind to make wines here in this country. And so he worked in the industry, saved his money, but it wasn't until he was 58 years old that he planted his first vineyard. And so this vineyard became so successful, he planted more both in Ontario and BC. And then in 1966, his son, Joe, left his career to join the family business. And then in 1989, John Peller became the third generation to join the family business. And this year, the winery is celebrating its 60th anniversary, and the fourth generation is entering the business.
Oh my gosh, what a
Yeah.
story.
Yes.
I just love that. Oh, it looks like you have brought us a rosé.
It is the Peller Family Reserve Rosé. To me, it's strawberry fields forever. It's just got this zingy acidity, but also like sun-dappled strawberries running in a field, barefoot.
Oh,
Rosés can sometimes be creamy. I don't like it. I like having that acid sort of, click right here. And this delivers. This is rosé heaven.
wow, this screams summer.
So our second stop in Ontario is at a place called Deborahs Wine Company. Tell us about this one.
So this one is made by Andrea Kaiser. She's the daughter of Carl Kaiser, who was a leading pioneer in Canadian winemaking, co-founder of Inniskillen Wines. Andrea used to help her father in the vineyards and in the winery as she was growing up. And so he inspired her to found her own winery called Deborahs Wine Company. Yes, and in 2019, she released her first wine. It's the Sauvignon Blanc that you have with you now. And she named it the wine company in honor of her late father, who used to call her affectionately Drea.
Oh, what a beautiful story.
I think you're going to get some aromas of fresh gooseberries, maybe some lime zest, but a real lift.
And I'm not a big Sauvignon Blanc drinker, but this one is really, really nice.
Mel, I'm like you. I'm not a big New World Sauvignon Blanc, but just because I find sometimes it's just like someone is smushed a grapefruit in your face.
We're going to move across the country. Let's hop, skip, and a jump all the way over to the West Coast. And you brought us two family wineries from British Columbia. So the first one is an interesting name, at least for a show called The Social. The first stop in BC is a family winery called The View. Tell us the family behind this.
The View Winery is nestled on a small parcel of land in Kelowna, BC. And this land has been in the Turton Ward family for 5 generations. And so it wasn't, though, till the mid-1990s, the mid-1990s, that they actually planted vines. Up till then, they've been just producing fresh market apples. And in 1922, the old packing house for the apples that great-granddad Ward built was transformed into a state-of-the-art winery and cidery.
Oh, neat. I love those stories so much.
Yes.
So what have you brought us to taste from The View?
So this is Silver Lining White, and it's a blend of really aromatic grapes. And what I love is that on the back label, she has uplifting quotes. For example, one says, "A diamond is coal that just weathered stress really well." I think this is a wine for our times.
I really, really like this one. Like, I know, because my palate is not as sophisticated as both of yours, but what I can say about this one is that it is really smooth.
There's some beautiful floral and citrus stuff, like they're playing around in a field, and neither one wins. They're just having a little game back and forth.
I don't know what Jess said, but it was poetic.
It is time for our final stop, and it is at a place called Hester Creek. And I like the sounds of it. Tell me more.
This one is planted on the Okanagan's Golden Miles, beautiful stretch of land in BC. Hester Creek is named for the little creek that runs alongside the southern tip of the land. The vines were planted in 1968. And then in 2004, Kurt Garland bought the property. He was born and raised in Prince George. And ever since then, he has made improvements to the site every year.
And we are ending with a red, which is fitting, and it's called The Judge. And I'm loving the bottle.
So The Judge was named more than a decade ago when the winemaker there set out to judge the very best barrels that would produce their flagship wine. So these were all barrels that had a blend of hand-picked Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc grapes. It's staggeringly good. It's got mocha and smoke and toasty oak and dark berries. Very brooding.
Wow.
Yes.
Natalie, I honestly want to order every single bottle. These 6 wines are exquisite.
Hey, Natalie, thank you so much for bringing us these beautiful stories, these great family wineries, and this amazing Canadian wine. Cheers, ladies.
All right, cheers. Cheers, Jess.
We'll be back after this.